Hello everyone, I'm back. I know a lot of you are anxiously waiting on the video update on my C8 Corvette project called Bad Sport, making it into a Grand Sport pseudo replica, 1963. But I haven't been able to get to the shop. I promise I'll do it this week and I'll give you a video update. But in the meantime, I've been working on 3D printing for a future rebody of that car called the Svelte, and I printed out the chassis of the C8 in 1/18 scale, and now I am printing out the scan of the clay body. I put a clay body on top of a 1/18 scale model of a C8 Corvette, and I couldn't get the clay to get all nice and smooth like I wanted. So I got it as good as I could. I 3D scanned that, made a file out of it, and that's converted it to sliced it so that I could 3D print it. That's what I'm doing as we speak. It took 50 hours to print the chassis, and it just finished last night. So this morning I moved the 3D printer into a room because it makes noise. It's not horrible noise, but it does make noise constantly. And in that case, I was doing a time-lapse video, so the light had to be left on to illuminate it. So between those two, it was decided that it should be moved to another room, which happens to be in between the house and the garage. So it's not temperature controlled, so that adds another variable. But anyway, it takes over 50 hours to print, so I wanted to get it going so that it could be printing while I'm doing other things. So let me show you what I've got. Okay, so I started printing it, and it's on, if you look, it says on the far right, 1.6 is the Z. You can see X is 116, Y is 163, and Z is 1.6. Since every layer is 0.2 of a millimeter, I've got a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So every layer is half of that, 0.2 millimeters. So if you take that, it just jumped up to 1.8. So if you take that divided by 0.2, that's going to be, it's on its 9th layer as we speak. All right, so of course now that I'm filming, the head is in the way, the printer head. But when it gets out of the way, if you look, there's a lighter colored area right there. What that means is that didn't stick to the bed. All the darker areas that stuck to the bed. But that one spot, and there's another spot back there, that I can't decide if that's just the way the light's hitting it. I think it's just the way the light's hitting it. But anyway, I didn't wipe down the bed in between. I should have wiped it down with alcohol. I didn't. I literally pulled the other part off and immediately moved the printer and then loaded the file and hit the print button. So what I did do was, while it was off printing on the back side of that, I literally took my fingernail and pushed down on it. One of the things I'm now going to 3D print is a small sanding block, so that if I see something like that, I can try to fix it. It was an hour into it when that really showed up, and so it was a choice of starting all over, cleaning the bed, or letting it continue and see what would happen. Right now it is an hour and a half in, and it looks like it's going to be okay. But if I would have had my little sanding block, I would have sanded that area down just to get the part that's sticking up to no longer stick up. The issue is that as the printer head goes across there, it could wipe, that raised area could wipe the filament off of it, and then it just gets worse. And in the worst case, what's happened to me in the past is the nozzle actually grabs a hold of that area where it sticks up and rips it off of the base. Luckily, that hasn't happened, and I'm going to show you what helped me to decide not to mess with it and just let it go and see if it is okay. And that's what it looks like now. It looks like it's going to be okay. You can see the worst spot is just outside of where the actual printing is. The other thing is this area right here is merely a support. That back area is the car itself, the car body itself. Because this thing is so tall or so long, it wouldn't fit flat on the bed. So I literally had to put it diagonally on the bed. The bed is 220 millimeters by 220 millimeters, and the height, Z height that'll go, is 250 millimeters. Well, my model is 278 millimeters end to end. So I literally had to put it up here diagonally to get it all to fit. In doing that, it has to print a big support right here, because otherwise the whole thing would topple over once it got up to a certain height. And the other thing is, of course, you can't print in thin air. So those two things mean this has a lot of support built into it, but I really had no choice because I needed 1/18 scale because of the model that I have that I purchased. All right, so let me go show you why I'm not worried about it. You have to excuse this, it's a storage area. All right, so come over here to the laptop. All right, so this is the Creality slicer that I'm using to do this. And people have told me I should use Cura. This is an experiment I'm trying to use. I've had so many problems with the Modix printer that I decided, you know what, I'm going to eliminate as many variables as possible. Since this is the slicer that comes with the Creality Ender 3 Pro printer, I decided I might as well use their slicer. People have criticized me for that, but so far it's working good. All right, so if you look, what it did was it created a slice file, which is what I have loaded into the printer. And this can actually show you, if you go over here, you can do a layer view or X-ray view. So in this case, I'm doing a layer view. This is what it'll look like when it's finally printed. So what I can do is, this is layer 1192. So there's almost 1200 layers. Like I said, it was 1.8, I think it was. So if I get them down here, actually, instead of dragging that, let me go ahead and finish. That would be layer 9. So let me come in here. I will type in a 10, hit enter. There we are, over here. Type in a 10, hit enter. And now it shows me this is what the print should look like when it's on layer 10. Doesn't really help me. So what I can do is I come over here down to the bottom, and I can slide this all the way over, hit the play button, and it will show me literally what the print head is doing when it starts that layer. This will go through the whole thing. It takes about 10 minutes to print a layer. We don't want to wait that long. So what I'll do is I'll slide the slider over until I see it get to the area in question. And we'll do that right there. Should be sufficient. Let's see where it goes from there, just out of curiosity. Okay, so if we look, we can see that the area where that raised section was right around here. There's there we are, kind of a hole right there. And right beside that hole, in fact, this whole area right through here is the light colored area. But right there is where the filament, the plastic is PLA, is actually sticking up. I could feel it with my finger when I ran across it. So what I did was I took my fingernail and I pushed down on that to get it closer to the bed so that the nozzle wouldn't catch on it. The good thing is the tip of where it was high is just on the outside of this print area right here. So what this is, I forget if this is called a brim or a skirt, but whichever it is, it's merely to help the model stick to the table. So in this case, it's not functional other than that. So once the model's done. This actually this whole area is nothing but supports. Again, because it's sitting diagonally, this area right here is in thin air, would be in thin air if it wasn't for the support material. So that's not critical. If it was critical, I would have questioned the decision to keep on printing and might have stopped it. All right, so let's go ahead and go back. Now that you're familiar with this, let's go back and drag this all the way to the top. And you can see as I drag it, it's going off and showing me that. And then down here in the bottom corner, I can get different views. So there is just a 3D view right there. Okay, so you can see that the area where in question is inside of here. There's the car body itself. All of this is just support area. Let me go ahead and I can click on the next one. They're calling this the front view, which actually happens to be the bottom. I didn't care about orientation when I did this, other than getting an X, Y, and Z. There's the top view. There we are. So that spot that we're seeing is right in here somewhere, and you can see that that is nothing but support material. So it's not critical. That's why I didn't worry about it. Where are we at? Which view is this one? And if we want to, we can hit the last one, flips around to the other side. But again, you can see that there's that space, you know, it has a weird shape. There's that space that's right there. So that raised area is somewhere about right there. So we can see that that's not a big deal. If you want to, you can roll the wheel on the mouse and scroll in, hold down the middle, that same wheel, move up, there we go, slide up. And now you can see there's the area that we're talking about. I believe it's right there, not positive, but it's somewhere. It's one of these, either here or there. But again, it is not critical to my model. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue printing. Anyway, just wanted to give you this update, show you what's going on. And it's gonna be another, what is it? That's an hour into it. So it's gonna be another 49 hours before I actually get a finished model. All right, like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate. And if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.